When it comes to tiling a wall, it can feel quite overwhelming, but with the right approach, it's definitely achievable. I'm Ken, and in this video, I'm going to show you how we got our room to look like this. Before we can get started on our bathroom, we need to check the quality of our walls before we can apply tiles to them. In our case, we're using moisture-resistant boards. We've plastered all of our walls and we've added a waterproofing system in our high water areas. This way, we know we're going to get a completely flat surface that is level and means that our tiles can go on with ease. If you do need to get your walls plastered or move any of your pipework in your bathroom, get the professionals. We're going to fit these large format porcelain tiles, the same as we have on our floor, onto our walls. But before we can do that, we're going to need to map out and mark exactly where we need them to go. Normally when we would tile a wall, we would find our center point and we would map our tiles off from there. In this case, we already have a feature that we want to keep in the bathroom and we have the tiles on the floor. So we're going to be using the grout lines to map out where our tiles need to go. So let's get started. Let's grab our tape measure, our spirit level, our handy pencil and our laser and map out these lines. So the reason why I personally like to map out my tiles before I make any cuts is because it gives me a good indication of exactly where my tiles are going to sit. That way, if I end up with a small tile at the top, which I don't want, I can make adjustments to my lower tile, making sure all my tiles then look evenly spaced out on the wall. We're going to be using an electric tile cutter because we have this L shape in the corner. But if you don't have any technical cuts in your bathroom, you can use a manual cutter. The electric tile cutter does use water, so we need to make sure the surface we're working on is protected and it's in a well-ventilated area. They can be very loud, so we're going to need some ear defenders, eye protection, some gloves, and a dust mask. Now that we cut our tiles, we're just testing them out against the wall without any adhesive. That way we can use some packers and we can use our tile spacers to make sure that the base tiles are nice and level so that when we build on top of it, everything lines up perfectly. So now it's time to mix up some adhesive and finally get these tiles on the wall. So we're using a high grab, super flexible adhesive for our tiles. That way we can apply them to the wall, but we still have enough time to adjust them if need be. Consistency we want is like a bit of cake batter. You want to look like you want to eat it, but please don't eat it. So you want to make sure not to put too much on in one go. Right now I'm just using the flat side of the trowel just to apply the adhesive on before I put the notches in. And then that way, we're not going to make too much mess. We're using an 8mm notch trowel. Because we're using a large format tile, we want to get as much coverage as possible. And if we use a smaller trowel, we may not get as good contact with the wall. So this is one important step that a lot of people forget to do, and that is back buttering your tiles. It's really important because it's going to help the tile make the best connection with the adhesive that's on the wall. All you want to do is take the flat side of your trowel, spread your thin set all the way over the back, nice and thin. It doesn't need to be thick. It doesn't need to have notch trowels in it. You just need to get it nice and flat. So at this point, we need to add a leveling system to our tiles to make sure all of our tiles are flat and even. Once we've applied the tiles to the wall, we want to move it side to side to basically break down these trowel lines so that once it goes side to side, it then goes flat and makes the best connection. If you don't do that, you could leave air pockets that could cause the tiles to crack. Sometimes when you're handling larger tiles, it can be quite tricky to hold when you're trying to get them on the wall nice and straight. This is where we would use a suction cup grabber to help us, give us a little bit extra grip and help us to maneuver those tiles a bit easier. The good thing about using a leveling system is that you can keep your tiles perfectly flat. They can be used on your walls or your floors, and it's an easy way to make your tiles nice and level. So this is how you test if it's nice and flat. Get a spacer, you can run it over each joint, and if it doesn't catch, then it's nice and flat. So when it comes to tiling your shower, you're always going to come across your shower pipework. In this case, we need to cut a hole for our shower outlet. Because our tiles go all the way to the wall, we can measure from the wall across and up so we can find our center. We can take those measurements and then we can transfer them to our tile. So now we're going to cut the hole into our tiles, and to do that, we're going to be using a diamond drill bit. They come in all different sizes depending on the hole you need to cut. Some other things to consider before you cut your holes is that you've got safety glasses, a mask, gloves, and a sponge to keep your drill bit cool. So make sure not to put your drill bit directly against the tile. You need to come in at a slight angle first, get it going, and then slowly work your way up to going flush against the tile. Now that we've left the adhesive to set for 24 hours, we can finally start taking out the leveling clips. And this is my favorite part because we get to use a mallet. You don't need to hit them hard, you just need to tap them and they will break, and that is it. Now I'm going to clean up the grout lines using a knife and a toothbrush. That way I can remove any remaining adhesive. So now we're going to start the grouting process, and we're going to use this waterproof fix and grout. It's super easy and ready to go. So when grouting, you don't want to put too much on at once. You just want to concentrate on getting it into the groove, pushing it in, and then pulling it down nice and clean. And that way you're not going to get a really messy tile. Make sure to add silicone in any of the corners, joints, or places that can come into contact with water. And just like that, our bathroom now looks fresh and clean. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe, and comment below what videos you want to see me do next.